Hello and welcome out to this episode of Outbreak Gamers. I'm your host, WebDave, and I have with me today the man from down under, Riskit for the Biscuit. Riskit, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing, man? I'm just excited to be here. Yeah, you talk about myself, which is always a good thing.
I think so.
Yeah, just I appreciate you inviting me on, man, and yeah, let's get into it.
All right, sounds great, and thank you for being here. For those of you that don't know, um, I live in America. He lives in Australia, so there's actually 13-hour time difference, for what's for the interview. So a night for me and morning for him. In fact, he's in the future, so it's tomorrow for him. So that's pretty cool, right?
I do live in the future. Yeah,
You do live in the future. That sounds
yeah.
so funny to say,
We
but
don't we don't get our games early though, which is not cool. Which is
that's
sometimes.
bullshit. Sometimes there you go, there you go. All right, cool. Let's get this thing scroll at the bottom going. So, Risk It, thank you so much for being here. First of all, I really appreciate it. And I know you've been under the weather just a little bit, and prayers to you. Make sure you eat your vitamins and all that kind of good stuff, and stay strong. Stay strong for us.
Yeah, I've got my second bout of COVID. But look, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I can manage it. I don't know. I think you got a bit of a different strain going over there. It's
Yeah,
seems a bit more heavy. This one's not too bad. The last one, this one's definitely worse than the first time. No, the first time was like really just cruised through it. Had a headache, and that was about it. But this one,
right,
it's definitely worse. But it's no Shanghai flu or
right.
anything like that. I got that when I was 13. I could barely move. So,
Oh wow,
you know,
goodness, goodness.
so this is good. It's
Well,
not
well,
good, but
good, good. Yeah, I've had like walking pneumonia and stuff like that. That put me in the hospital for a while when I was a young lad. So
mm.
that was no good. So I get you. I get it. And luckily, I've not had any of the COVID here. And two of well, my wife and my son both work in a hospital. So there's a lot of extra protocol and protection that they have to take, on a
Mhm.
daily basis, kind of thing. So it is what it is. But Risk it. Let's get things started with kind of like growing up. I guess what kind of jobs or education have you been doing or have you done in your lifetime to get you started?
Yeah, well, look, I education wise, I left school pretty early. They asked me very nicely to leave. Um,
Not for
but I
everybody.
was, yeah, no, it's not for everyone. But I was working from the age of 12. So when
Wow.
yeah, so my brother was a chef, and I moved out of home really, really early. They also asked me to leave really nicely. And so I was kind of in between homes, if you like.
Right.
And my brother was a chef, and he had a place to stay, but he didn't have room for me. But what he could do is feed me, but he couldn't
Oh, that's
feed me for
good.
free. And so I had to work for my meals basically. So I was I was in there washing dishes with my brother, and it just naturally progressed into I became a chef myself. Um, yeah, and went through the whole TAFE thing. Made it through TAFE, and I did what I wanted to do with that career,
Hmm.
which was run a fine dining kind of a high end restaurant. Well, actually ran three at the same time.
Wow.
And I also did a bit of bulk cooking, running massive sites up north in mining.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, then after that, I was I don't know, burnt out from cooking. It's a really underpaid, underappreciated job these days. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
pulled out.
Well, and it's the thing is like, everybody's got to eat, so, and some people have, I guess you call it an expansive palate, and other people are like, give me food.
Yeah, well, yeah. I find it really interesting. The craze of um, people becoming foodies
Yeah.
kind of kicked in as I went through my career, and I found it really funny. Like just a lot of people who really didn't know what they were what food was or were doing with food
Hmm.
st- started to have opinions. about it, which is fine, man, because everyone eats, like, so you can
Right.
like and not like what you want, but yeah, like when it comes to the technical side of cooking, there is a technical side,
Oh, yes.
a- and like it was just interesting to see that food revolution, and I can tell you that customers became a lot harder to deal with through that kind of revolution.
Mm.
Because they were all chefs themselves.
Well,
um,
yeah. Wannabe chefs, right?
yeah. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I did a little bit of TV as well with the cooking.
Wow.
Um, yeah, that didn't go 100. It was a if you've ever been on a TV show, what they do is, and it's a reality TV show, what they do is they purposefully try to cause drama. So they'll
Oh.
shut the electricity off, they'll shut off the gas,
Oh, wow.
they'll do all sorts of things to try to cause drama. They'll make things look like it happened this way, but didn't happen that way. So
Wow.
that was a really interesting experience to have to go through. I think I lost, and I was pretty skinny at the time. I'm not anymore. I was pretty fit at the time. I think I
Yeah.
lost 10 kilos doing that show. I was working, I worked a few 48-hour shifts. I worked, and then I worked pretty consistently, anywhere from 16 to 18 hours through that whole ordeal. And by
Wow.
the end of it, it was, I was pretty rinsed. That wasn't the end of my career, but I moved on to another exec chef job, and yeah, I think that the passion was killed on TV. You can see it
Oh,
live.
dude, I could see that so much, and yeah, a lot of people that, a lot of people that watch reality TV, are like they enthralled or is sucked in by it, but then there's people that you've that talked to or done interviews that are like, "It's just not like that," or is like, "That didn't happen quite that way," or the way they edited it made them look, so bad or so good when they
Yeah,
weren't, you know?
yeah. So I mean, like as an example,
Mhm.
we had and look, I really love. I lost a friendship out of this whole thing because
Oh, goodness.
real briefly, the way it happened is I was running the kind of the pinnacle of my career, the place where I was running the three in one.
Mhm.
And he contacted me, and I just kind of getting a bit tired of where I was, and I'd run a few menus through, and been successful, and I was kind of looking for a new challenge. And he contacted me, and I'm really good with the numbers side of things when it comes to cooking, because there is a massive number side of things. You need to make money, right?
Yeah.
So the food you put on the plate needs to make money, and it needs to be achievable in a fast-paced environment. So he contacted me and wanted me to sit down and go through a menu and get it done in a week, because the guy that they had going on the show originally had pulled out, and then he'd come in. Now he's not the best-looking dude for TV, and that's not. I honestly thought he, was fine. But at the time, I was like a ripped, stacked. I'm 6'1", 6'1", good looking dude.
You are
um,
good looking now, mister.
no, I don't think so. But like at the
Whatever.
time, I think I was more what they wanted for TV.
Yeah.
And he was a short, missing a couple of teeth and just covered in tats. Which is again, they should have gone with him. He was an amazing chef, still is an amazing chef, and
Mhm.
it's unfortunate that what they did caused our friendship to break down.
Hmm.
He they filmed the two girls who were the lead of the show. They were supposed to be the girls who were running the show. They weren't in anything to do with restaurants. But it was they didn't want to put him on camera, so they actually edited her saying that I was the head chef, but she never said that. The other guy's name was Johnny.
Yeah.
She said Johnny was the head chef, but they cut away, and she talked about me as the sous afterwards, because she told me exactly what was said. She talked
Mhm.
about me as the sous chef, which is the second in charge. I didn't want the lead. I didn't really want to be on TV at the time. I do now. So if you've got any offers, hit me up on my email. No, I'm kidding.
The
Um,
information will be down below. They can reach you.
um, yeah, so they edited that completely in, and that caused a massive rift between me and him, because the cameras are always chasing me. He was never in the show, and
Wow.
he started to get very upset. It was very, very stressful. I've never walked out on a job, but I nearly did at one point with that. And I just, it wasn't a great experience, but in hindsight, it was a good experience to see how that sort of thing is produced, operated, and the pitfalls of it. Because I'm sure that some people can be extremely successful. Some people can play that game
Yeah.
of being you have to be in some ways not very genuine, and that's not me.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I
Right.
can't do that.
Right. Well, I tell you, I have a face for radio. So,
So do I. So do I.
I did it for 5 years, man. I'm like, yeah, it's yeah. So this actually being on camera for me was kind of tough. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
is what it is. But no, so that's, I mean, that's interesting. I would never have known that about you. So cool. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, it wasn't at the time, but it is
Uh,
now.
right, right,
Great
right,
story,
right.
you know?
Well, hopefully someday, maybe maybe things will mend, or time maybe will mend it, or if anything, maybe he'll watch this and be like, "Oh, those bastards did that." Yeah, you never know, right?
Oh, he knew it just caused a riff,
Yeah,
man, and look, said, I don't know what's the age limit watching the show? Are they 18
you can
plus
say
or
whatever you want.
well, look, the dude was taking a lot of drugs to get through, so
Yeah,
I have no doubt that had a pretty serious effect on it, and it is a pitfall of being a chef. A lot of chefs fall into that trap. A lot of chefs fall into alcoholism, and I was lucky and my best friend became an alcoholic and died at the age of 32.
goodness.
Sorry, 36, my bad.
Yeah,
Um, and so I was extremely wary of that sort of stuff. So
right.
I never fell into that pitfall. So and because of him, everything happens for a reason, I guess. And if that's the reason that I didn't fall into the pitfall, I guess that's a positive that could be taken out of it.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're here because I know you
Yeah.
definitely do some really good content these days. And
Thanks, man.
oh no, dude, no worries. And that's one of the things about this show is that I like to reach out to the community, and to kind of and to kind of find out more about people, and what their struggles were and how they got to where they're at. And I guess at this point, let's talk about, because you do a gaming channel, so let's talk about, I guess, gaming. How did you get the gaming bug? How old were you when you, I guess, first started playing games?
Ooh,
Oh
like six, seven,
wow, there you go. Yeah,
6 or 7. Yeah, my dad came home one Christmas with a Commodore 64, um,
nice.
which was huge because, excuse me, COVID,
That's okay.
which is huge because we were like dirt poor, right?
Hmm.
Like living week to week, having the electricity turned off one week, the water was turned off the other week. Then we were filling
Hmm.
up the bathtub with pots and pans of hot water, and then the gas got turned off, so we couldn't do that. So
Yeah.
um, when he came home with that, I was like, wow. And yeah, man, then I just sit there with the old tape deck the Commodore 64 had, and you would put
Hmm.
it in, and if it didn't load, right, or if it jammed up, you wouldn't know for about half an hour. So you'd just be sitting there for half an hour, like, to play Froggy, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of great games that I played on that, and I guess I just kind of caught the bug, and then I got a little game on. We ended up with a PC somehow. I think that was for Mum's school studies,
Hmm.
um, and I downloaded a game called XCOM, and
Okay.
I got fully into that game, like completely addicted, and that's where I got addicted. That was about the time that I was like, oh, like gaming is the thing, like. Um, and then I ended up hassling my parents for a console, and I got a Sega, and it was mainly because of Mortal Kombat. So the SNES didn't have Mortal Kombat,
Right.
um, and oh no, 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 it was the Master System that I got first, actually, with
Okay.
Alex the Kid, and I'm pretty sure that had
Oh
Mortal
yeah.
Kombat on it. It was a reason that I wanted it, but I can't remember the reason I wanted that over the NES, because the NES was obviously like the one to have. Let's be honest, I'm still a
Right.
Sega boy. Um, so we got the Master System. I hassled her for that, and then we got I ended up with the Sega Jet. What you guys I think called Genesis, but we called it a Mega Drive.
Right.
Got the Sega Mega Drive. I don't know why the names are different, or if they're actually different things. Because I know in some countries that they had the Mega Drive and the Genesis, so I don't know exactly what happened there. Um, and yeah, and then I never really stopped, man. Like I had kids really young, My son's 21 this year.
Mhm.
I had him when I was 19. And my next system would have been the PlayStation 1. And then I took a bit of a break when I had him because, look, I was just a struggle as a 19-year-old to provide for a kid,
Right.
paying a mortgage as well. So I was doing a lot. And there was no time for me to do for gaming at all. And yeah, I guess I picked it up again when the Xbox launched.
Mm.
That was 20 years ago, and my relationship ended. I found myself a single man,
Been there.
and I thought, and a friend of mine showed me, the Xbox, and I was like, okay, and he got it on day one. And I got it a couple of days after because he had Abe's Odyssey, and I was like, "Holy, look at the
Yeah.
graphics on this, man! This is craziness." Um, so from that PlayStation 1, I I kind of had that, and then that jump. I think it was PlayStation 2 that the Xbox was released, right?
Yep.
I had that. So when the PlayStation 2 came out, I believe that was before the Xbox. I don't know. But I had that choice, and I made that choice, to go Xbox, and that's just. I know I've been there ever since, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a great ecosystem and a
Definitely.
great box. It's had its ups and downs, man, like every system.
Right, of course. Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree with that because, the PlayStation 2 is like one of the biggest selling consoles of all time, and then the PlayStation 3 came out with this huge price point, and it kinda shot themselves in the foot, and kinda let the Xbox kinda,
Get in there.
struggle ahead, and then the Xbox, they kinda dropped the ball with the Xbox One TV, and I have to have a connect, have to stay online, and PlayStation 4 came out and just world domination, so it's always a back and forth. So,
That's
it's
the
weird.
thing that kind of I guess we're getting off topic, but whatever. But that's the thing, like
Mhm,
with these companies, it's that kind of and you can see it with publishers, you can see it with console makers, you
mhm,
can see it with TV makers. They always get ahead, right? So,
yeah,
and they never think that they seem to forget that other companies are going to be nipping at their heels for a piece of
yeah,
that pie and for that top spot. Like um, you know, eh, PlayStation is doing it now. Like that's happening now with them. They're being, you can't. I mean, there's a lot of people that will deny, but you can't
right,
deny they're being anti-consumer at the moment with a lot of the moves and a lot of the decisions that they've made. Um, and people will say, Xbox has to be consumer friendly, and to some degree, that's absolutely true. But
mhm,
I mean, it remains to be seen whether that is true or not. Will Xbox in the next iteration go, "Hey, we've got a market share.
mhm,
Now we're going to become, anti-consumer"? You'd like to think they've learned their lesson, but I mean, I'm an massive Battlefield player. Like, um, yeah, I was ranking pretty high in Australia for a certain class, and I'm in the top 3% for a lot of things in Battlefield One. By the time I got to Battlefield One, I was fully injected myself into that game.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but I but I battlefielded from Battlefield 2 all the way until halfway through Battlefield 5, and I pulled out because I don't know what the hell happened with that game. And then you've got 2042. But if you look at those iterations, they released 4, and 4 was real bad. Like it was buggy.
Yeah,
You'd rub a band everywhere. It was unplayable, and just broken. And it was lucky that it was at a time where there wasn't as much saturation in the market, so you could
right,
make a big mistake like that and bring it back, and they did. And people will tout Battlefield 4 as the best game in the Battlefield series, and it's not. Battlefield 3 is, but it's
mhm,
good. But people forget that that's what happened. Now, with Battlefield 1, they learned that lesson, released that game, and it was not buggy. Like, it obviously had a couple of bugs, but as far as bugginess goes,
mhm,
that game was amazing. It was playable, hit detection was bang on. Everything was good with that game. It was pretty good. Then they released 5 and took a step backwards. Then they released 2042 and took another step backwards. Like, it
yeah,
seems with these companies that they learn. You think, oh, they've learned this lesson. They now know if that they do this, it's going to
yeah,
be, but then they ride high off the last success and they dive in and make the same mistakes they've made previously. And
Yeah.
I think we're seeing that with PlayStation at the moment. And I I'm playing God of War 2018 at the moment,
Hmm.
and they've made some amazing games. And that last generation was for the players.
Hmm.
I'd like to see them go back to that, and that's the problem that I have with PlayStation is their anti-consumerism,
Yeah.
and some of the fans are just like you
Yeah.
can't make this shit up. Like
No,
you
no,
can't.
no, no. Yeah.
Like
But
every week it's something like what the.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, and to be fair, there are extreme
Oh yeah,
Xbox, you know, people as well. I will just kind of leave that out
caveat.
there. But I mean, I'm a gamer. I play all the consoles, PC, Steam Deck, everything. I love games. I prefer the Xbox system, but I got my PlayStation day one right there in line, waiting at a GameStop to get mine, and got it. Was there about 30 something hours, but that's the yeah, it just it's what it takes sometimes to get what you want. It, but
What you need, yeah.
yeah, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you one thing that a lot of people, I think, maybe years from now, people will maybe take a look at what's going on now as far as the up and down battle over the last couple of years into where we're heading into. That COVID and the work stoppage and the work from home type thing, that really, I mean, because some people are like, well, other companies are handling it better than others. But then you see, maybe it was because of certain games were in a certain state compared
Yeah.
to where where they could have been. I'm not making excuses, but I'm saying that there's probably a lot more, because we can all day we can be like, why wasn't this game ready or why wasn't this ready? When we really don't
This is
know.
where within my community, I'm a bit of a
Yeah.
pariah in some circumstances because this is the thing,
Yeah.
you get branded this and you get branded that,
Right.
and then people tend to think, I don't know. Someone called me notorious the other day, and I was proud of that.
There
Um,
you go.
you get branded certain things, and then the people on one side of the community will project all of the narratives that one side of the community has onto you as if you've said them.
Right.
I mean, that happens a lot. Like I've had conversations with dealer where he's like, and Colt, or he's like, I never said that. And I don't think that. And
Yeah.
I've never said that anywhere. But these guys are telling me that I have, you know what I mean? And
Right.
that's what it is. It's taking the narrative of a community narrative and pinning it on you. Now, when it comes to COVID, and I've been pretty vocal about this, I don't think it's an excuse.
Hmm.
And look, I asked, I don't know if you're aware of a developer from he worked on the God of War 2018. Rob, his name is. I can't remember his last name. I can look it up. He's on Twitter. And he happened to be
Okay.
doing a space. Now I jumped in, and I've had this thing where I'm like, people are telling me it's taken 2 years for them to set up, and I'm like, in 2022, right? Do I say 2020, 2021, 2022,
Yeah.
2023?
Yeah.
We are not that technologically disadvantaged that we can't get this stuff done in such a length of time.
Right.
I just couldn't see a year before it's like, yeah, we're ready to go. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure IT guys had their asses hanging out trying to get everything set up.
Yeah.
And so I spoke to Rob, and Rob, he was at Certain Affinity, right? And Certain Affinity was assisting on Halo.
Hmm.
But keep in mind, this is a developer, an animator that's been around for a long time. He's a senior animator and good at what he does. I mean, if you've seen God of War, some of those animations are his, and they're
Oh yeah.
absolute fire. And so I asked him, and I said, look, how long did it take you to get set up for COVID? And he said to me, he said, look, listen, tech wise, we had it done in a month. He goes, and I settled in immediately, and I was like working just as I had. But I mean, we had a discussion, and he acknowledged, and I agree that there would be people that would find it harder to work from home. You've got kids, you've got things going on in the background. Like,
Hmm.
obviously, it takes a little while for people to settle in. But to be honest, that's about 3 to 6 months max So that's going to put you back, 6 months. So let's be honest, it's poor management, and
Yeah.
that's that you can't get around it. And I mean, there's guys, as I said, on the internet saying you said it was COVID. No, I didn't. I
Yeah.
110%, I 110% think it's poor management.
Yeah.
And what people have to understand with this period of Xbox is this is like PlayStation's, 2016. I think PlayStation 4 was like just starting to find its feet properly after
Mhm.
PlayStation 3, and
Mhm.
they were just starting to work out what direction they would take. Well, they had worked it out. They had, but it hadn't been put into play yet. Like they were working towards it, and then
Right.
they started dropping like bangers. That was their. They were like, boom, next one, boom, next one, boom, next one. Because if you think about PlayStation 4, it was really only the back end of that generation that they really, really hit it out of the park.
Mhm.
Um, and that's, that like it's a great machine. It was a smart move, and the way that they operated. Their Xbox is in that thing right now. They're in that time period where they have a direction. They know what they want to do. They're setting up for it, and they're heading somewhere.
Mhm.
And I hate to say you got to give them time because man, we've given them plenty of time. If you're an Xbox guy, you've given them
Yeah.
time, but
Right.
they need more. Like, and you got to give it to them. And sending pictures of your meat to developers is not going to help that.
No,
You
it
know,
does not.
it's
Either it's
well,
on the menu or not. There
maybe
you go.
it did. It might have helped because,
Oh,
like, the
no.
next week we gotta like the optics of that are bad. Come on, you
Yeah,
can't.
exactly. No, no,
If
I
you're the
agree with you. I agree with you.
if
And then
you're the
because there
guy
are people
sending
saying,
those,
"Did that work?" No.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're the guy sending the pictures, the crazy nutbag that's sending those, maybe
Yeah.
nutbags are bad. The crazy muppet that's sending those pictures to these developers, and
Yeah.
then the very next week you get a release. I think it was less than a week. You get a release
Yeah.
date. In
Yeah.
your crazy head, you're going to be going, "Oh, that worked. What
Yeah.
else do I want to come out?"
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I would like to be in the round table, and see how that discussion works. Like,
Yeah.
Bob's in the back, just like, release it so they stop sending dick pics. Like, dude,
Right, right, right,
oh,
right.
it's
And
nuts.
and it could have been scheduled months in advance to drop at that time.
Exactly.
Who
Yeah,
knows? You
exactly.
know?
But I know if you have a
Well,
round
right.
table, right, you
Sure,
would think you
sure.
would sit down and go, listen, guys, if we release this now, I know, Corey, that you wanted to release it now, but if we release this now, um, it's not going to look good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But no one's talking about it, and I'm like, I haven't really jumped into it or said much about it. I said a little bit about it on the show because you say something like that on Twitter, and
Oh,
you're going to
yeah.
get jumped on.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so I've left
Yeah.
that one alone. But I mean, to me, from a business standpoint, I think that was probably a bad move. But let me ask you a question, Dave. If
Yeah.
they had planned to release that
Yep.
at that time, why didn't they have a state of play? That was weird, right?
Right. Right. True, true. And who knows that they don't have one, coming in the works and a plan attack for as it gets closer, to feed the fire. Maybe this was just the okay, cool. Now we'll give them the date to let them know that it is coming this year. Look, I don't know. This is all speculation in my head. I know
Yeah.
I'm no, gaming fairy. Woohoo, stop it. But it's just a matter of there could be a plan. You would think major corporations do have some kind of plan. Even with Xbox having to be like, you know what? These two games, we need to hold them off another couple of months to get some of that polish on there. And no matter how bad the optics look, the reason they dropped them when they did was because they figured, oh, let's get that let's get through this month of hellstorm and getting beat up by our fans about it. And then with the show, we'll say like a 12-month road plan. So let's just kind of try and show them that we are focused in the here and the now. And then it's hopefully other things are going to start falling into place for them. But you don't know. But you think corporately, you know, they have a little bit of a plan, you would think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course they would. You'd be remiss not to think they have a plan that gets revised and revised and revised and revised and
Right,
revised. Like what they definitely have a plan. I'm sure it changes as they go. That happens with every business.
right.
Things happen and you move with the punches, and that's cool. And look, if they released it because it was the best thing for their team, if that was the best thing for their team, then it absolutely, man. Like, yeah, I couldn't fault that. Like, if they're like, we don't want these developers being harassed anymore, and we don't want this for our team. We just want our team focused on
Yeah,
the game and bringing the best experience to the players that we can. And
yeah.
so, can I swear on it? Yeah, I will.
Yes.
You know,
Anything you want.
like fuck it. Like let's just release the thing, give them what they want. Then they'll leave us alone. They'll be happy and excited, and then we can just focus on the game. If that's what they did, that is absolutely the right move.
Yeah.
Absolutely the right move. I couldn't fault that, but it just didn't look good, right?
Oh, no, you're right. Your optics definitely looked a little like, like,
Yeah,
"Please stop sending those." But no,
yeah.
I'm with you. I get it. I definitely understand it. And it's not it you may be right. We don't really know. A year from now, when we look back and we're hopefully at a better place with the games coming out in a more consistent basis, this may be just a nothing burger.
Yeah, that's it.
Remember
You
that
got it.
summer when games didn't come out like we wanted to? But now look at it. Who
Yeah.
knows?
And look, I 110% think that's going to happen. And I think you'd be, I mean, Matt Booty himself said, like, the problem that I have now is where am I going to put all of these games, right?
Mhm.
We're going to have all these games ready at the same time. So, and that's a problem as a gamer because I don't want them to release everything at once. I want to play it when it's new and fresh, right? I mean, not that
Right.
that matters, but you do as a gamer. Like, this seems to be this thing on the community, but like, man, I've gone back and played games I've missed, and they're just as good. They don't change, you know what I mean? Or maybe they
Right.
do change for the better.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Sometimes improvements and things. Yep.
yeah, but you want to play it when it's new.
Yep.
And it just seems to be a FOMO thing, right? So yeah, like if they're dropping all these games like bang, 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 month after the other for like 12 months, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to keep up with that. Like,
Well, and if you think that way that they have a large amount of games that are going to be dropping, I'm hoping that they do sit down and strategically think, like, okay, normally there's 2 month period we would kind of have a dry spell. Where now we've got basically 2 to 3 slots that we're going to be able to let's pick what games we think would go good here that normally we wouldn't have put in at all if we didn't have them. It would have been a dry spell. So that to keep it like so if it's a month after month or every two months and there's a big AAA game coming out, great. And who's to say they wouldn't be like a AAA game and then maybe a couple of weeks later a really good you know double A or single A type, what I mean, single player small couple hour gameplay type game to come out to fill those little niches and voids as they come along. That could be really good for the
yeah,
system.
I it could be, and you made a good point. Look at the moment. This is the problem that I'm having at the moment. I'm jumping
Hmm.
from game to game to game. Like I finished Chorus, Alan Wake, Turtle Shredders. Shredders got slotted in there and had to take up some of my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These little games are getting slotted in, taking up my time. I'm jumping between, and I've never done this. Like I've always gone one game,
Mhm.
finish the game, move on. But at
Yeah.
the moment, I'm jumping from game to game to game, and that's before we've apparently got nothing to play, right?
Right.
Um, I'm jumped back on God of War because they released God of War Ragnarok, and I was 110% wrong about that delay. Um, you know, like what I said, everything I said leading up, that's 110% true.
Yeah.
That happened, and it could have been read or interpreted in different ways, and that's just how
Hmm.
I interpreted it, and that's why I thought it was going to be delayed. But like as I always said, that game coming out like is a W for anyone that has a PlayStation.
Right.
That's going to be a great game. And so the problem, I'm playing God of War now. I'm jumping between this. I'm jumping between that. Like, I just got PlayStation Plus, the second tier.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't played Demon Souls remake. I don't want to play Death Stranding, but I've just got to check it out.
It's weird, but it's cool.
Yeah, I got to check it out because people are talking about it. I've been told it takes 3 hours to get into it, and I'm not down for games where I'm going to sit down for 3 hours and be like, "Is
Yeah.
is it going to get good?"
Well, it's one of those things to me, and I'll throw this out there since you brought it up, that it was like it's weird and quirky enough if during that first 3 hours you said that you like, what else can happen? What else are we gonna, what? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so not a traditional game that when you're playing it, my curiosity was like, well, what happens if you did? Oh, he's having problems staying up. I got to slow down. And then you're like, that's weird. But what happens now? And then
Do you,
something
ever,
else happens. You're like, oh, I can do this. You know?
do you ever feel like Kojima like just does stuff to see how far he can like how much he can get away with?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
I just sometimes I reckon he's laying in bed. And, I wonder if I did this, would they just let me get away with it?
yeah,
I'm just gonna do it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but that's getting back to what I was saying. There's so much for me to play
Mhm.
now. If they start dropping stuff, and the problem that we've had this year is not only first parties are pretty thin. Excuse me, COVID.
It's okay.
Problem that first parties aren't just the only thing that's thin; it's the third parties that are thin too.
Yep.
When it comes to big AAA bangers, right? And that creates more of a vacuum than that could be filled by first parties, vice versa. So when you're going into the next years when they've got these big AAAs coming, they need to be careful about not stepping on the toes of third party developers as well.
Right.
So it's a massive minefield for them going forward. But the thing that I say all the time, I don't know if you know Pong Sol,
Yes,
um,
very well. Interviewed him
and
here.
yeah, he keeps saying we're in the golden age of gaming.
Yep.
And I say the future has never looked brighter for gaming. Like that's, I don't know if we're in the golden age yet, Pong, man. Much love to you.
Getting damn
But
close.
we are real close, and the future has never looked brighter for gaming. Like never, never
Yeah.
ever on any system. Like even Nintendo, like any system, PC. The future has never looked brighter. They're able to do things that we would never have thought that
Yeah.
they would be able to do. I remember sitting around on PS1, and then on the original Xbox, talking to people like, wouldn't it be cool, man, if they could make the games look like these cutscenes? That'd be cool. We're at that point. Like
Yeah.
that's what's happening. So yeah, I mean, of all the complaining and negativity that comes out of like mainly just Twitter,
Mhm.
um, honestly, people need to like step back and just think like where we were, where
Oh,
we
yeah.
came from, and where we are now. You can't complain, man. Even if you're playing the same game for a month, and you've got to play it twice to get through a dry spell. Like
Yeah.
it's probably a good game if you're doing that. Yeah,
Amen. I agree with that 100%. I tell you, like you said, some of the, I guess, the youth gamers of today, the young gamers that are, growing up in it, to the,
yeah,
the people that, the kids that were, born with a tablet in their hands. You know what I'm talking about? That could work a
yeah,
phone better than your grandmother can. My mom's like, I can't do this thing. I can push buttons on a tip. And the little kids over, there you go, grandma.
yeah,
Whoa, what? But it's like to them, that's their starting point,
yeah,
To us, well, at least to me, it's good old Atari 2600, the graphics and that's to me that was like,
yeah.
adventure. That was great. I loved it, you know.
I mean, the first game I ever played was Pong, just like Pong Soul, and that was at a
Yep.
friend's house. It was like badoop, 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 badoop.
Yeah.
That's one
Yeah.
hell of a gameplay loop right there. I'm telling you. Um, that's gonna suck you in for hours and hours. Well, it did.
It
Um,
did.
Look, I was so dyed in the wool. Actually, just thought of this going back. If you talk about going back,
Mhm.
we had a pub down the road in Australia, and some of these pubs can get pretty rough, right? And so we used to go down there on a Sunday. Like we would do it, but they had a $10. I think it was like $7 actually back then. Oh my god, a $7
Mm.
all you could eat like roast on a Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And so like to save money, oh, and kids were free, and I think I was around about
Oh, yeah.
maybe 7 or 8. So I don't know if I was in the free part or whatever. But anyway, so we used to go down there because my parents would save money, and it wasn't great. Like, to be honest, it was you're not going to get much for $7 or $10, whatever it was.
Right.
But they had a Gallagher table, right? in the
Mhm.
in the thing, and I would hound my dad. And for you guys, it was like a quarter, right? A quarter
Yeah.
is a 10 cent piece. Is that
A 25-cent piece. Yeah, so it's a quarter
25
of a
cent piece?
yeah.
Who makes a piece out of 25 cent? Anyway, so
Well,
we
only
we
in
had
America.
we
Uh,
had
yeah.
we had a. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're in the imperial system, I suppose, when you think about it. But we we had 20-cent pieces, right? And so
Mhm.
it would cost you 20 cents to go and play Gallagher. And I had to like beg my dad, and I'd probably get 40 cents out of him max. That's all I would get, right, to
Mhm.
play it. And so anyway, I was on my last 20-cent piece, and a fight broke out of the pub. And like it was this is me as like a 7 or 8 year old, whatever I was. And my dad's like, because the fight's moving slowly towards the Gallagher table, right?
Yeah.
As I'm playing this fight, starting to like, right. They actually ended up. My dad's trying to grab me. He's before that. He's like, "Come on, you're gonna stop playing." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. It's my last 20 cents." He's like trying to. He's like, "No, no, no, no. We gotta go. You gotta move. You gotta move." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no." Anyway, I ended up basically with this fight going over the table. Right, there were these two fully grown men, whatever, and I'm just a 8-year-old or 7-year-old, and I've got a hold of the stick, right, and my dad's
Yeah.
got me by the waist, and he's trying to trap me on the table to get me out of the way. I'm like, "No, just one more game."
I
But
could
that was
just
my
see
last.
that.
That was my last 20 cents, right? So that was
Yeah.
that's how much I love gaming. Like um I just
Can he
it's the
pull him
greatest
away?
it's the greatest pastime in the world. But I mean when you man, you think about the old days, remember we used to have to call your mates and tell
Mhm.
them where you were gonna be at what time, and then if you weren't there, you had to go find a phone box, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
and then call his mum, and she's like, I don't know, he left like 20 minutes ago. Right,
Yeah.
like it, like all that shit we had to deal with. You're right, man. They just don't have to deal with it. Remember the telephones that take 3 hours to ring a number? You'd be like, tick, 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 tick,
Oh, yes.
tick, 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 and then you mess up one number, tick, 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 fuck, damn it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. Oh,
Like,
uh, my grandmother would tell us stories about how, when she was a teenager and they finally got a phone in their
yeah,
house, and when you picked up the phone, that was connected to the same phone line as 20 other people in the neighborhood because it was a party line. So as the phone rang and picked it up, and they, who is, who is for, asked for a certain person, any other line could stay on and just listen if they wanted to. You couldn't make them hang up. So that was like, wow, talk
like
about good times.
internet, right?
Exactly, exactly. So I mean, boy, we sure come a long way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have, man. And in gaming, we've come so far. It's just unbelievable in such a short amount of time. And
Yeah.
yeah, I honestly, it's some. I mean, put in if we get to ray tracing and 120 FPS at a console,
Mhm.
I really don't see how where else they can go.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you do 8K, I mean, 4K is fine. Like, I can't see the 8K being like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just I think that'd just be a waste of development power
Right.
doing an 8K game. Yeah. So but I say, hey, look, it's probably likely we're going to get to 8K, 120 FPS with ray tracing in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Where the hell else are they going to go from there? Like,
Who
you know what
knows,
I mean?
right?
Like,
Yeah.
so
It
yeah,
is. It is amazing how the future goes and how things are going. So let's change course just a little bit. So obviously big passion about your gaming. So I guess, how did you get started being a, I guess, a content creator? How did you, what made you start your own channel or podcast? How'd that go?
uh, whew,
I know.
long story, long
That's
story.
all right. We got time.
Right. So I had a so I really kind of started way back. I work in explosives now, right?
Mhm.
And so when I was working on the mines, when you finish work, you can either drink, go to the gym, or I don't know what you do, right? So like I was like, well, I kind of need something to keep me busy. So I started making just little video clips and uploading them to YouTube just to play around. And I ran under a very different name back then. Um, and I was playing with that, and then I really got kind of real busy with my job. Being in explosives, it's extremely busy
Mhm.
and extremely hard. And that's
Dangerous, I
how I
would assume.
dangerous, yeah. And that's how I ended up with a back injury.
Mm.
We moved six. We at the time we were moving about 6 ton worth of 20 kilo bags a day. But that's not what got me. What got me was a fall. But I've no doubt that doing that has definitely taken its toll. So
Right.
I bulged a disc and tore it.
Mm.
And I had nothing to do, other than game. And I don't know. I thought I was watching Colt, watching Dealer,
Yeah.
Zorka or whatever. And I've been watching them for years and years and years. They wouldn't know me under the last name that I was at. I didn't really get into the chat. Like I didn't kind of get involved in the community. I just listened because these guys know what they're talking about, right? And a lot of
Right.
their points of views, I agree and disagree, but mostly agree with their general point of view on things.
Mhm.
Except for Zorka, I don't agree with him. He said Batman was a bad movie.
Poor
I don't know what that guy was thinking. Like, if they're not
Funny.
wearing pajamas in a superhero movie, he's not happy. So hey Zorka, how you doing?
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, so I hurt my back and I had a computer that I hadn't really picked up or done anything with. Started talking in between all this is playing a lot of Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
And I had a match where I like absolutely destroyed a whole bunch of people. And someone said, you risked it for the biscuit. They said, are you going to risk it for the biscuit? I won the match, killed, I think it was like the 4 leftover dudes in a search and destroy match. And I did it in style.
Yeah.
They started, he called me like, yeah, you risked it for the biscuit. No, that was it, man. I called myself risking for the biscuit. Started getting engaging in the community, in the chats. And I was like, I would like to do this. I think it would be cool to do a podcast, but I had no like real reason to do it. Like there was no, like to do a podcast, you can't just talk to yourself, right? That would be really interesting. I mean, I know some creators do it.
Yeah.
I find that I could talk my way out of a paper bag underwater, but I think that would be weird.
Yeah.
For me. So I know I met Jedi Knight Pete in the chat. I saw he was an Aussie, man. I'm like, oh, dude, like, add me. He's like, yeah, add me. We started playing together. We were going through Legendary Edition of Halo. Halo Master Chief Edition, whatever the hell that is, but on Legendary.
Yeah.
And we just kind of built a friendship. And I was like, listen, Pete. And all we did was talk about games that have been, games that are coming, games that what's going on. Did you hear about this? Have you heard about this? What do you think about this? We were doing a podcast inside of our party like almost every day. And I was like, dude, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Do you want to do it with me? He was like, yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love that. So look, I just set up the podcast and started running it. And, the first episode, I'm pretty sure I deleted it from YouTube. We didn't have sound for anyone. And Umbra was our first guest. And we didn't have sound for like any of the guests. It was just me, and I couldn't figure it out. Right. So I had to shut that first episode down. So episode 1 is actually episode 2.
That's funny.
And then we had Umbra back. I think we had a few different guests. And then I was like, Umbra just kind of fits in really, really well. Like we get on with him. He's a chill dude. He's a very genuine person. And I won't say what you see is what you get because you don't ever see him, but what you hear, what he says, he means. And I have a lot of time for people who are like that. And the same with Pete. Pete's like very much what you see is what you get, and he's an honorable dude. And Umbra's a very honorable dude. And so we asked him on the show. He's been with us ever since. And we've had a couple of changes. Some things that didn't work, and
right.
Yeah, man. We've been at it ever since, and I think we love doing. I love doing it. Like I love it. It's cool, fun to sit around with different people, like, doing your thing, sitting around with different people from the community, like, and just talking games. If you get like one of these, like we had Tim Dog on the other day, and he's got a very interesting point of view on things and with some things. And I don't agree with everything that Tim Dog says, but these guys are knowledgeable. You know what I mean? So to sit down and talk about things with people who have different point of views from different areas, and that, and they can say, I don't agree with you. Like, and I'm like, I love that. Right. Because then you get to have a good conversation, and like, you ain't trying to like war with each other. This is like well, what about this? And, this and that, and
Mhm.
blah, 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 blah. And then you have your conversations. And I am always open to change my opinion as well, which people seem to have this opinion that if you say something, that's what you think for the rest of your life, right?
Right.
I think opinions should be fluid because things change.
Right.
And I can't remember what it was, but someone said something to me not long ago about a game or about I'm pretty actually sure it was Dealer, and we were just playing Forza or whatever, just fiddling around. It was my afternoon, his night, and he made a point about something um, that I don't think he's ever made on his show either, but it was just something. And I was like, wow, I never thought of it like that, right? And that
Mhm.
happens on the show too. Like we had a guy on Tech Talk, and he gave us the full overview of what FSR is and how it works and the whole bit. And that's the great thing about it. I'm always like learning something from the people that come on,
Right.
having great conversations, and the people that come into the chat are like usually hilarious, like they are. And I
Yeah.
never really get a chance to respond to them because like I'm moving, there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm looking up the next video to display what we're talking about. I'm doing this
Right.
and doing that, but I do as I'm doing all that, like I've got an eye on the chat. You know what I mean? Like, and
Mhm.
some of the stuff they say is like it makes me giggle. Like you'll hear Pete as well because Pete watches the chat as well pretty hard. And you'll hear Pete just randomly laugh in the background, and I do it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just honestly is a great time, and I just really enjoy it. And I think here's the thing: if I'm not doing it for views, I'm not doing it to make money. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. And when I don't enjoy it, I'll stop.
Right.
That's the only thing that's going to stop me.
Yeah.
Is if I'm not having fun doing it. You know, and I enjoy like that people enjoy watching, like as well. So
Mhm.
in that way, I also want to make sure that I'm doing a good job and I'm looking for like ways to improve things and make it better so it's a better experience for the people that do support us, that do come along and watch it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
man,
tell you.
it all stemmed from a back injury.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Was
I've seen several of your episodes, and I do enjoy them a lot. I
thanks.
think you're back and forth, and the rapport you have with with the lineup you have now, and I guess your newest panelist is Doom Cutie,
Mhm.
and we've had her on here. She is absolutely a gem. And she is a really good balance, and she's not afraid to sit there and play some games too, which I like. She'll
Yeah.
get into it with you guys, and that's good.
Yeah. She's playing God of War right now, actually. We've
Nice.
been she's nailing through it. Yeah, she got well ahead of me because she's they got school holidays, and she's a teacher, so
Right. Yep.
she and I and her little ones are grown up, and that means she can get a bit of time to herself, right?
Right.
Whereas my little one is 11 months, so like
Oh, wow.
when he has needs, they're needs that need to be met right
Of
then and
course.
right there.
You gotta
So
gotta gotta take care
yeah,
of that. Yep.
yeah.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's awesome. Man, I really appreciate you coming on today, man. This has been really good getting to know you and getting to know more about you. So your show, I guess, for you guys film it, I guess for you, your time is in the morning on Saturday mornings, but for us here, it comes up on a Friday night.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and then like Umbra, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, Infinite Umbra. Yeah, so it's 8, I think it's 8 p.m. EST for you guys.
Yeah.
And for Australia, it ends up being, well, not for me, it's 8 a.m. for me, but for the most of Australia, it's 10 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. Now and he's from the US, is that right? Or no?
Yeah, so Umbra's from Chicago. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
He,
Same
he,
time zone as me then.
yeah,
There
he's a
you go.
Chicagan. What
That's funny.
or Chi-Town as he calls it.
Chi-town. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Been there a few times.
Yeah, he's a bit
Wouldn't
of a
wouldn't go there right
vampire
now.
as well. So that's a good thing about Umbra is he's actually on our time zone in his life.
Mhm.
So we talk to him and play with him or speak to him quite regularly. Because of the industry that he's in, he's awake like in the times that we're awake. So it
Yeah.
works really well, man. It just worked really well to have him And look, he is a great dude. Pete is a great dude, and Doomy is a great. She's fairly recent, but a great
Hmm.
addition to the show.
Definitely.
Um, and she's at a point. She's also from the same area that I'm not area, but the same state.
Hmm.
She's at a point in her gaming life. I don't know what you'd say it. Her gaming career. You want to call it
Yeah,
a
yeah.
career? A gaming time where she's trying to diversify the types of games that she plays because she's
Hmm.
curious about what so her goal, I think, when I had met her, was to play more shooters. So, um, and then you came to the right dude.
Nice. Yes,
So
exactly.
we basically throwing all these games at her to check out, like, because I think she's pretty deep in the WoW community, right? Well, World of
Hmm.
Warcraft, and all that sort of stuff. But she wanted to just kind of branch out. I think WoW might have been getting a bit old, and I know she recently got an Xbox or whatever. I think it was like this generation.
Hmm.
And she just wanted to kind of see what's out there, which is really cool, man. Like, I love new gamers coming into the ecosystem, and it's just a great thing to hear their point of view, because sometimes when you've got, like, me and Pete, who are very similar in our gaming history, very
Hmm.
similar well, you know what? We actually argue constantly, but in a really good way.
Right.
But very similar, with maybe opposing points of views, but similar kind of backgrounds, and that you don't get such an overview. So that's why, after having Doomy on as a guest, I was like, yeah, man, she fits in like really well with her. She's excited for Stray. I'm not. Couldn't
Right.
don't care about Stray. Don't want to play it. I'm not interested in being a cat. You know, I'm
Meow.
just, yeah, I'm just not. But she really is.
Yeah, yeah.
And she may actually be in a position now to get a review copy of it, because she's writing for an Australian media company to do with games.
Very nice.
So that's cool, man. She'd be able to come on and say, "Look, I can't talk about it much, but I really enjoyed the game," or whatever. And then there's
Right.
people that come to what may watch us that may not have the same gaming taste that we do, and may want to hear about that side of things, and that's great.
Exactly.
That's yeah.
I think you guys, with the four of you, have a really good um, rapport. It's a really good mix and it's a really good blend. And I recommend that everybody that watches this definitely goes, and the link's going to be below, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But they definitely need to go to your channel. They need to subscribe, and they need to make sure they hit the little bell icon so you don't forget it, so that you get the reminder that pops up. And plus, you guys, I mean, you have your show, but occasionally you guys will do like a playthrough or join us where we're playing like I've seen you guys play Halo and stuff like that. So those kind of
Yeah.
things are bonus stuff too, which is sometimes really hilarious.
Yeah. Just kidding. That's kind of where we let loose and be uh sometimes really for ourselves, especially if you listen to Pete playing Halo like that.
Yeah.
He gets emotional.
It's so funny. It's
Which I
funny.
love it. But yeah, we started doing playthroughs, and me and Doom actually will be doing a playthrough of Gears, because she's never played Gears.
Nice.
And so we're going to start on Gears 1, the Ultimate Edition. We've already started. You can catch that on the channel as well.
Hmm.
And then we're going to move through the entire thing. And she's having a good. She is like a demon. She doesn't take cover. Like, it's a cover shooter, but she doesn't take cover. She's like, I am going in hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm the one that gets shot and dies. And then she picks me up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh
Yeah,
goodness.
but that was a barrel of laughs, and yeah, so we do a lot of that. I do look. I like to make videos. I have made videos. Some of the most popular videos that I have made are basically about what's coming to the Xbox and what you can find on Game Pass.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is I struggle for time with the little one that I have, and I
Right.
want to make more content. And look, I'm kind of messing with a few things behind the scenes to see where I'm going to go with content.
Nice.
But I am going to start going back to videos. I just need to do a few practice runs to make sure what I want to do um, is, is going to fit in with my life, basically. Because if it
Right.
doesn't fit in, it's not sustainable. So,
Right, right. Well,
but I'm
I hope
getting
it
there.
works out for you. I hope it works out. And I know they definitely. I'm not sure what your subscriber base is up to now, but I know that people need to subscribe to your channel. Definitely. Everybody needs to. It is free to subscribe, people. You just hit the little subscribe button and it helps them a lot. And it, like I said, you definitely were, this is content you're going to enjoy watching. This is not a, oh, what's that? No, this is good stuff. This is some funny stuff. They are real, like I said, got a great rapport. And if you're into gaming, this is definitely a channel that you need to watch. Risk It for the Biscuit is an amazing content provider. And Risket, I'm so glad that you were on today, man. Thank you so much for being here. Can you tell the people like where they can find you on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube?
Yeah, cool. First of all, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate you bringing me on, and thank you for just even thinking of me because I am only
Oh,
a little content creator. So, um,
it's got
thank
to
you
get
very
big,
much.
man. We're gonna get you big.
um, Look, you can find me on Twitter at Riskit4TB. You can find me on Twitch very rarely, but I'm thinking about going back there. Riskit4theBiskit1. Someone already took that name.
Uh oh.
Like craziness, right? And you can find me on Xbox under Riskit4TB as well. I play with everyone in the community, and we like to have a great laugh as well. So if you want to find me there, you find me there. You can find me on PlayStation under the same tag as well, and you can find me on YouTube under Risk It for the Biscuit. The link will be in the description. Click that down below, hit that subscribe button, go through and like every one of my videos. No, don't, you don't have to do that.
You
But
should though,
again, yeah, thank you,
because you
man, for
will.
bringing me on.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everybody for being here and watching us. This is, oh my gosh, we're up to like 26 episodes so far. So a lot of great
Oh,
content creators. I could speak. It's a little sleepy time for Dave. But yeah, but yeah, please check out our channel and more every week. We drop another great video with another great content creator here at Outbreak Gamers.